from Capitol Hill, Republican Representative of Wisconsin, Congressman Sean Duffy.
Oh, he's back.
He's back. He's spicy. And Democratic Representative Maryland, Congresswoman Donna Edwards. Good to have you both.
Good morning.
Sean Duffy, I want to start with you. You have this column in the National Review, and in part you say this. In 2011, our president jeopardized our homeland when he decided that acting on a campaign slogan about troop withdrawal from Iraq was more important than securing the fragile democracy gained through the Iraq surge. Just my question to start things off here with a healthy debate. Wasn't it the previous president who got us into this mess, who was guilty of the original sin that set us on this path?
Listen, you're absolutely right, Mika. George Bush has a lot to blame with breaking Iraq. But the bottom line is he passed off a stable Iraq to Barack Obama. And I did want to see our troop surge come down in Iraq. But to think that you have no troops in Iraq to help stabilize that democracy, I think that has led for the space for ISIS to rise up, garner strength, and start to be a huge threat to the American people and to the region as a whole.
But Sean, Americans, though, and a lot of people in your own district wouldn't have supported attacks on Syria a year ago.
No, you're right. But that's different than saying we're going to withdraw all of our troops and leave a vacuum in this region. I mean, we still have troops in Korea and in Europe.
Didn't your constituents want to bring troops home from Iraq?
Yes, they did, but not all of them. And when you create a vacuum, Joe, you see this kind of an ISIS element rise up. And even you mentioned you need a political solution.
Right.
Well, you need to give them some space to work out the differences in the politics of the region. And it's going to be more than a couple of years. It's going to take, if not many years, decades, for them to figure it out. And if there's no tamp down force in the region,
right,
you see radicals rise up. And I mean, a year ago, we could have taken ISIS out.
Right.
The president's been unwilling to engage.
So let me bring in the Congresswoman right now. Congresswoman, you have a lot of people, not just Republicans, blaming Barack Obama for what he didn't do a year ago, just like Sean said. We just had Angus King, an independent who caucuses with the Democrats, saying that he and Carl Levin thought the president should have moved a year ago. Wrote him a letter saying it. Hillary Clinton also will spend the next year and a half on the campaign trail talking about how Barack Obama was wrong. Do you agree with other Democrats who say that Barack Obama was too late getting into Syria and he caused the rise of ISIS?
Well, let's start from the first premise, which is that Iraq was not stable when the president had to deal with Iraq. It was not passed off as a stable government. It was passed off as a government that was isolating Kurds, isolating the Sunni population. And this is what we have right now, where we have this vacuum that's created that allows forces to join with ISIS and create the instability. And so I think that what the president is doing is very deliberate and thoughtful in terms of thinking about how we have to
Was he too deliberate? Was he too thoughtful?
No.
Did he allow a vacuum to be created that allowed ISIS to rise?
Joe, there's no such thing as too deliberate in an environment where we have been too aggressive, too quickly, and very inappropriate action in Iraq. And so I think that what we have is a president who said we have to have the politics right. We've got to get the military, and we have to engage the other Sunni nations in the region, and that is what is happening right now. And I think that there's no such thing as too deliberate when you're trying to get to a lasting peace.
Sean, let me go back to you. I believe you can be too deliberate, and I believe the president in some cases has been too deliberate. At the same time, why should more Americans go over to fight and die? Why should more American taxpayers pay money and foot the bill if we have the Saudis and the Egyptians and everybody else just sticking their toe in the water when we're going over there to save their butt?
So first of all, when you say the president's been too deliberative, Joe, I disagree with that. The president's been playing politics. He has kicked and screamed trying to stay out of Iraq and Syria, and it's only politics that caused him to give that speech a week ago saying we're going to have this very tepid strategy that's going to train, quote, vetted moderates in Syria. So tepid and thoughtful, not so much. Politics, absolutely. And the lack of strategy, the lack of heart the president has to address ISIS, not just has caused some heartburn on the Hill, but it's also made it very difficult for him to build allies in the region. That's why no one's stepping forward to say, I'm willing to follow this president, into fight and assist in the region, when he doesn't have the heart and passion himself. Listen, when you look at young men and women going into battle, that you have to do that with great caution. But this is not just a regional threat. This threat is a threat to the American homeland, and I think we have to help snuff it out.
We will debate it more. I just want to tell Donna you should come back. I know Sean's Senate counterparts blocked the Paycheck Fairness Act yesterday. And
now, Mika, come on.
Can you believe this? She hates when loving would be so
Sean,
much easier.
are you not for equal pay? I'm curious.
Absolutely.
Stop
Listen,
this.
just like with the White House, Mika, they're paying 77%.
No, wait a second.
You turned the on switch on him again. You shouldn't have done that.
She just goes after me.
The fact is that women are not paid equal to men. It is creating harm to our economy.
In the White House.
We need to pay women from the day that they graduate from college throughout their careers and into their retirements, the same as men make. There's no excuse for not doing it. And I don't understand what Republicans have against women being paid the same as men.
Exactly. We'll leave it right there.
Donna.
Thank you very much.
Talk to the White House.
Well, you guys come on set. We'll keep this.
Really, what's wrong with it? I agree with her completely. Coming up at the top of